Welcome to the Love and Relationship Lab. Today we are exploring Carl Jung's discovery about people who see too much and connect it to love and relationships. First, let me ask you, have you ever met someone who could walk into a room and immediately feel that something was wrong? Or are you that person? Someone who could hear the words someone was saying, but also notice what they were not saying. They could sense when a partner was emotionally distant. They could feel tension before an argument started. They could recognize when someone was hiding pain behind a smile. Many people call this intuition. Some call it sensitivity. Carl Jung saw something deeper. Jung believed that some individuals develop a powerful ability to perceive unconscious patterns in themselves and others. But he also discovered something uncomfortable. The ability to see deeply can become a burden if a person does not know how to handle it. And this is especially true in love, because relationships are not built only on what people say. They are built on emotions, fears, unconscious patterns, childhood experiences, hidden wounds, and the parts of ourselves we do not always understand. Today, at the Love and Relationship Lab, we are exploring one of Jung's most fascinating ideas: why some people see everything in relationships, and why that ability can either destroy their love life or transform it into something extraordinary. If you have not subscribed yet, please do us a favor and subscribe. In return, we will do more research and connect it to lived experiences to bring more videos for better love and relationships for all. Thank you to our new subscribers and returning community members. You may get yourself your favorite health drink or go for a walk as we continue. The person who notices everything. Imagine someone in a relationship who notices every small change. A different tone of voice, a shorter message, less eye contact, a change in affection, a partner saying, "I'm fine," while everything about their behavior suggests the opposite. This person often feels confused. They ask themselves, why can I feel something is wrong when nobody else notices? Sometimes they are accused of overthinking. Sometimes they are called too sensitive. Sometimes they are told, you create problems that don't exist. But Jung's work reminds us that human beings communicate on many levels. There is the conscious level, what we intentionally say. And there is the unconscious level, the emotions, fears, and motivations that influence our behavior without us realizing it. Jung believed that much of human behavior comes from this hidden psychological world, the danger of seeing behind the mask. Carl Jung wrote extensively about the idea of the persona. Personal as the social mask we present to the world. It's the version of ourselves we show others. At work, someone may appear confident while secretly feeling insecure. A person may appear happy in public while privately struggling. Someone may act like they do not care while deeply wanting love and acceptance. The persona is not necessarily fake. It is simply one part of human psychology. But problems arise when someone becomes completely disconnected from their true emotions. A highly perceptive partner may sense this contradiction. They may feel Your words say one thing, but your energy says another. This can create challenges because seeing through someone's mask can be uncomfortable, both for the person observing and the person being observed. Why highly perceptive people struggle in relationships. One of Jung's important psychological ideas was that people often project unconscious parts of themselves onto others. Projection happens when we see something within another person that is actually connected to our own inner world. For example, a person who fears abandonment may constantly search for signs their partner will leave. A person who struggles with trust may interpret normal behavior as betrayal. A person who has not faced their own insecurity may blame their partner for making them feel insecure. This is why relationships can become complicated. Two people are not simply bringing their personalities into a relationship. They are bringing their histories, childhood experiences, their fears, their unhealed wounds, their unconscious patterns. The curse of always being right. One of the biggest challenges for highly intuitive people is this. Sometimes they see something real, but how they communicate it determines whether the relationship improves or collapses. Imagine someone says, "I know you are upset. You are pretending everything is fine." Maybe they are correct, but the other person may feel attacked. They may become defensive. They may think, "You don't understand me. You are judging me." Jung believed psychological growth requires humility. Seeing something clearly does not automatically mean we understand everything. A person can have strong intuition and still misinterpret situations. The mature person learns to ask questions instead of making accusations. Instead of, "I know what you are feeling," a healthier approach is, "I feel like something has changed. Is everything okay?" The goal is connection, not proving that you are right. When your gift becomes your burden. Many sensitive people experience a painful pattern. They become emotional detectives. They constantly analyze. What did that message mean? Why did their voice change? Why did they look away? What are they hiding? Their ability to notice details becomes exhausting. Instead of enjoying love, they spend their time investigating love. Jung would argue that the challenge is not eliminating perception. The challenge is creating balance. A person must learn the difference between intuition and anxiety. Intuition is calm. Anxiety is urgent. Intuition observes. Anxiety demands immediate answers. Intuition creates understanding. Anxiety creates fear. The relationship between awareness and love. Jung believed the journey of becoming psychologically whole, what he called individuation, required becoming conscious of ourselves. In relationships, this means asking, why does this behavior affect me so strongly? What wound inside me is being triggered? Am I responding to my partner, or am I responding to my past? These questions can transform relationships, because the deepest relationship is not only between two people, it is also between a person and themselves. A person who understands their own unconscious patterns becomes less controlled by them. They become more capable of love. The first lesson. The first lesson from Jung's ideas is this: seeing deeply is not the problem. The problem is seeing deeply without emotional maturity. A person who sees everything but has no inner stability may become suspicious, exhausted, and lonely. But a person who combines awareness with compassion can become an incredible partner. They can notice pain before it becomes resentment. They can understand emotions before they become conflict. They can create a relationship where both people feel truly seen. But Jung discovered something even more fascinating. The reason highly perceptive people often struggle in relationships is not only because they see others clearly. It is because relationships force them to face something much harder: seeing themselves clearly. In this next part, we explore why emotionally intelligent people sometimes attract wounded partners, the role of the shadow in love and marriage, why we are often drawn to people who trigger our deepest wounds, how Jung explained unconscious attraction and relationship patterns. Because sometimes the person who understands everyone else has the hardest time understanding. This brings us to one of Jung's most influential ideas: the shadow. The shadow that enters every relationship. According to Jung, every person has a shadow. The shadow is not necessarily evil. It is simply the part of ourselves that we hide, deny, suppress, or never fully acknowledge. Perhaps you learned as a child that expressing anger was unacceptable, so you buried your anger. Maybe you were taught never to cry, so you buried your vulnerability. Maybe you experienced rejection, so you buried your need for affection and convinced yourself you didn't need anyone. The problem is that what we bury rarely disappears. Instead, it quietly influences our relationships. Jung believed that much of what attracts us to another person and much of what frustrates us about them can be connected to our own unconscious shadow. Why we fall in love with certain people. Have you ever wondered why two intelligent people can choose partners who repeatedly hurt them? Why does someone leave one unhealthy relationship only to enter another that looks differing on the surface, but feels strangely familiar? Modern relationship psychology often talks about attachment styles. Jung approached the question differently. He believed we are often drawn toward people who awaken unconscious parts of ourselves. Sometimes this feels magical. Sometimes it feels painful. Sometimes both. A confident partner may awaken confidence you never developed. A caring partner may awaken the love you never received. A distant partner may unknowingly recreate emotional patterns from childhood. Without realizing it, we often seek relationships that give us another opportunity to confront unresolved emotional experiences. Unfortunately, until those experiences are understood, we may repeat the same relationship with different people. Only the faces change. The emotional pattern stays the same. When perception becomes a burden, highly perceptive people often recognize problems before anyone else. They notice emotional distance. They sense dishonesty. They detect resentment long before an argument happens. At first, this seems like an advantage, but there is another side. Some people become so focused on reading their partner that they stop listening to themselves. Every conversation becomes an investigation. Every silence becomes a mystery. Every delayed reply becomes evidence. Jung would likely encourage a different question. Instead of asking, "What is my partner hiding?" ask, "What fear inside me makes this situation so difficult?" This question changes everything, because sometimes your perception is accurate, and sometimes your own anxiety is coloring what you see. Wisdom is learning the difference. Projection, the invisible force in love. One of Jung's greatest contributions to psychology was the concept of projection. Projection happens when we unconsciously place our own feelings, fears, or desires onto another person. Imagine someone who secretly fears they are not good enough. Instead of recognizing that insecurity within themselves, they begin believing their partner constantly judges them, or consider someone who struggles with trust. They may interpret completely innocent behavior as evidence of betrayal. The relationship begins fighting battles that exist more in the unconscious than in reality. This is why communication alone cannot solve every relationship problem. Sometimes the real conversation needs to happen inside ourselves. Why honest partners sometimes make people uncomfortable. Have you ever noticed that some people become uncomfortable around those who are emotionally honest? Not because honesty is wrong, but because honesty invites self-reflection. Jung believed many people prefer psychological comfort over psychological growth. Imagine someone gently saying, "I feel like you're carrying something heavy." If the other person has spent years avoiding those emotions, they may react defensively. Not because the observation is false, but because it touches something they are not ready to face. This explains why emotionally aware people are sometimes described as too intense. In reality, they may simply be inviting conversations that others are not yet prepared to have. But this creates an important responsibility. Being perceptive does not give us permission to expose people before they are ready. Love requires compassion as much as insight. Marriage is not about finding a perfect person. Jung challenged the popular idea that happiness comes from finding the perfect partner. Instead, he believed marriage creates one of life's greatest opportunities for psychological growth. Why? Because living closely with another person reveals parts of ourselves we might otherwise never see. Your spouse may reveal your impatience, your pride, your fears, your need for control, your insecurity. This is uncomfortable, but it is also an opportunity. A healthy marriage is not simply two people avoiding conflict. It is two people learning through conflict. Each disagreement becomes an invitation to understand ourselves more deeply, seeing without controlling. One mistake, highly intuitive, people often make is believing they must fix everything they notice. If they sense sadness, they rush to solve it. If they sense conflict, they try to prevent it. If they sense emotional distance, they immediately seek reassurance. But mature love recognizes an important truth. You cannot force another person to grow. You cannot heal wounds they refuse to acknowledge. You cannot carry another person's emotional journey for them. Jung believed every individual must undertake their own process of becoming whole. The greatest gift you can offer another person is not control. It is presence. To listen, to encourage, to love, without trying to become their therapist. The second lesson, perhaps the greatest lesson from Jung's psychology, is this. Love is not only about finding someone who understands you. It is also about becoming someone capable of understanding yourself. The more you become aware of your own fears, projections, and unconscious patterns, the less those patterns control your relationships. You begin responding instead of reacting, listening instead of assuming, connecting instead of controlling, and that changes everything. But Jung also discovered that one force quietly destroys more relationships than almost anything else. It is invisible. Most couples never recognize it. And by the time they do, years of resentment may already have built up. In Part 3, we explore how the unconscious silently shapes marriages, why couples repeat the same arguments for years, and the powerful psychological shift that can transform conflict into deeper intimacy. Carl Jung's idea explains the silent force that destroys love and marriage. What if I told you that most couples are not arguing about what they think? They are arguing about. The dishes are not really about the dishes. The late text message is not really about the text message. The forgotten anniversary is rarely just about a date on the calendar. According to Carl Jung, much of our emotional life is driven by unconscious forces, thoughts, memories, fears, and beliefs operating beneath our awareness. That means two people can love each other deeply, yet still become trapped in painful cycles they don't fully understand. At the Love and Relationship Lab, we found something remarkable while studying Jung's work alongside modern relationship psychology. The happiest couples are not those who never experience conflict. They are the couples who eventually learn what their conflicts are truly trying to teach them. The argument beneath the argument. Imagine a husband comes home late from work. His wife says, "You never think about me anymore." He immediately becomes defensive. "I'm working for this family. Why are you attacking me?" Within minutes, the conversation becomes an argument. But what is really happening? On the surface, they're talking about time. Underneath, they may be talking about something entirely different. Perhaps she isn't asking for more hours. Perhaps she's asking, "Do I still matter to you?" Perhaps he isn't defending being late. Perhaps he's saying, "I'm terrified that no matter how hard I work, I'll never be enough." Jung believed that relationships constantly awaken unconscious emotional wounds. If we only respond to the surface conversation, we often miss the deeper emotional reality. Why couples repeat the same fight for years? Have you noticed how some couples seem to have the same argument over and over again? Only the topic changes. One week, it's about money. Next month, it's about the children. Later, it's about intimacy. But emotionally, it's the same conversation. Modern relationship researchers call these recurring conflicts perpetual problems. Jung would likely say something similar from another perspective. Until unconscious patterns become conscious, they continue directing our lives. One of Jung's best-known ideas captures this beautifully. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Many couples believe they simply chose the wrong partner. Sometimes that's true, but often they are repeating emotional patterns that began long before they met. The relationship simply reveals what already existed, the need to be understood. One of the deepest human desires is to feel understood. Not admired, not praised, understood. This is why emotional neglect hurts so deeply. When someone repeatedly feels unseen, they often stop sharing their inner world. They become quieter, more distant, less, not because love disappeared, but because hope slowly faded. Jung believed every person longs to become known, not for the mask they wear, but for who they truly are. Healthy love creates space for that authenticity. The shadow appears in marriage. Earlier, we spoke about the shadow. Marriage has a unique way of bringing the shadow into the light. Your spouse may notice habits that nobody else sees. Your impatience, your pride, your tendency to withdraw, your fear of rejection. This can feel threatening, but it can also become one of life's greatest opportunities. Imagine standing before a mirror. The mirror isn't insulting you. It's simply reflecting what is already there. Sometimes our partners become emotional mirrors. The question is not, why are they pointing this out? The better question is there something here I need to understand? That doesn't mean every criticism is correct. Far from it. But emotional maturity means becoming curious instead of immediately defensive. Love cannot grow without safety. One of the strongest findings in modern relationship science is that emotional safety matters enormously. People rarely reveal their deepest fears if they expect criticism or ridicule. Jung understood this long before neuroscience could explain why. When people feel psychologically threatened, they protect themselves. They hide. They defend. They attack. Or they emotionally disappear. Real intimacy requires the opposite. It requires safety. Safety doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations. It means knowing that difficult conversations can happen without destroying the relationship. The difference between fixing and understanding. Many people believe love means solving each other's problems. Sometimes that's helpful. Often it isn't. Imagine your partner says, "I've had a terrible day." Instead of listening, you immediately begin offering solutions. Sometimes what they wanted wasn't advice. They wanted presence. Jung believed that healing often begins when a person feels deeply heard. Not rescued. Not corrected. Simply understood. There is enormous power in saying, "Help me understand what you're feeling," instead of, "Here's what you should do." When one person begins to grow, something fascinating happens when one partner begins doing serious inner work. The relationship changes. sometimes for the better, sometimes with unexpected difficulty. Why? Because every relationship develops its own emotional balance. When one person becomes calmer, more emotionally aware, less reactive, as we come to the final part of this journey, I want you to pause for a moment and think about your own relationships. Not just the relationship you're in today, but every relationship that has shaped your life. The people who taught you how to trust. The people who taught you how to forgive. The people who broke your heart. And the people who helped put it back together. Carl Jung believed that none of these experiences were meaningless. Each relationship leaves behind something valuable if we are willing to learn from it. That may be one of the greatest lessons Jung ever offered, not just to psychology, but to anyone who has ever loved another human being. Because love is not only about finding the right person, it is also about becoming the right person. Love is not about perfection. Many people spend years searching for the one, the perfect husband, the perfect wife, the perfect relationship. But perfection is an illusion. Jung believed that every human being carries both light and shadow. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. We all have moments of courage and moments of fear. The happiest marriages are not built between two perfect people. They are built between two imperfect people who are willing to grow together. Every disagreement becomes a lesson. Every misunderstanding becomes an opportunity. Every challenge becomes another chance to choose love over pride. That doesn't mean accepting unhealthy or abusive behavior. Healthy love requires mutual respect, safety, and accountability. But in healthy relationships, growth often comes through learning to face difficulties together, instead of pretending they don't exist. The courage to be fully known. Jung once suggested that one of life's greatest tasks is becoming who we truly are. That sounds simple. In reality, it may be one of the hardest things we ever do. Because being authentic means allowing another person to see the parts of us we usually keep hidden. Our fears, our disappointments, our insecurities, our dreams. Real intimacy begins where pretending ends. Many relationships fail, not because love disappears, but because two people stop allowing themselves to be truly seen. They continue sharing schedules, bills, responsibilities, but they stop sharing their hearts. The strongest couples never stop becoming curious about each other, even after decades together, growing together instead of growing apart. One reality of life is that people change. The person you married at 25 will not be the same person at 45, nor should they be. Life changes us. Success changes us. Failure changes us. Parenthood changes us. Loss changes us. The question is not whether people change. The question is whether two people are willing to continue discovering each other as they change. Many couples slowly drift apart because they keep talking about daily responsibilities while forgetting to talk about who they are becoming. Ask your partner meaningful questions. What has been on your mind lately? What are you afraid of? What are you hoping for? What dream have you never shared with anyone? Sometimes, one honest conversation creates more intimacy than months of routine. Seeing your partner with compassion. Earlier, we talked about seeing through people's masks. There is something even more important: learning to see with compassion. It is possible to understand someone's weaknesses without using them against them. It is possible to recognize someone's fears without judging them. It is possible to know someone's imperfections and still choose to love them. That is emotional maturity. Jung believed that real psychological development produces greater humility, not greater superiority. The more we understand ourselves, the more patient we often become with others. The greatest relationship is the one with yourself. There is one final lesson we cannot ignore. Every relationship you have will, in some way, reflect the relationship you have with yourself. If you constantly believe you are unworthy of love, you may struggle to believe someone truly loves you. If you cannot forgive yourself, you may find it difficult to forgive others. If you never make peace with your own past, your past may continue influencing. This is why Jung believed individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming more conscious of who we are, is not selfish. It allows us to love more honestly, communicate more openly, and build healthier relationships. When two people commit to growing individually, they often become stronger together. A challenge for this week. Before we finish, I'd like to leave you with a simple challenge. This week, choose one person you care about. Your spouse, your partner, a close friend, even a family member. Instead of trying to impress them, try to understand them. Listen more than you speak. Ask one meaningful question. Offer one genuine compliment. Express one honest feeling you've been keeping inside. Small moments often build lasting relationships. Final thoughts. Carl Jung believed that consciousness is one of humanity's greatest gifts. The more aware we become of ourselves, the more capable we become of genuine love. Perhaps that is why the strongest relationships are not those without problems. They are the ones where two people continue choosing growth over comfort, understanding over assumptions, compassion over criticism, and love over fear. That journey is not always easy, but it is one of the most meaningful journeys we can take. Thank you. If you've stayed with us until the end of this 4-part series, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It truly means a great deal that you've chosen to spend your time here with the Love and Relationship Lab. Our mission is simple: to explore the wisdom of great thinkers like Carl Jung, alongside modern psychology, relationship science, lived experiences, to help all of us build stronger relationships and become better versions of ourselves. If this video encouraged you, taught you something new, or made you reflect on your own relationships, please help us reach more people. Do us a small favor. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment telling us which part of Jung's ideas resonated with you the most. Like this video if you found it valuable. And most importantly, share it with someone you love, a spouse, a friend, a family member, or anyone who might benefit from these insights. Every subscription, every comment, every share, and every like helps this young channel grow. It allows us to spend more time researching, reading, and creating thoughtful videos that bring together psychology, relationships, and timeless wisdom. Thank you for helping us build this community. Until next time, remember, the greatest relationship you'll ever build is not one based on perfection, but on understanding. And every day is another opportunity to choose love, choose growth, and become the person you were created to be. We'll see you in the next video.